Okay, so our issue is Catholic social teaching and the advertising industry. So, starting with an overview about the advertising industry issue, the main issue is that it shapes societal values into consumerism and materialistic goods, focusing on things like um, how much stuff you own, um, really measures like how happy you are, how much worth you have, how successful you are as a person, when it really doesn't. And advertising just promotes that kind of lifestyle. Um, it also portrays a wealthier lifestyle, and therefore it is promoting unrealistic standards of success that not all people are able to reach. Um, it also marginalizes the poor, excluding those who are less fortunate from personal fulfillment, as they are not, they might not be able to afford all the things that wealthy people can, and by not being able to afford these types of things that are being advertised, uh, we don't feel as fulfilled as a person as people who are affording these things. Um, it puts pressure on those who don't have a lot of money to spend the money that they don't have, risking their shelter, their healthcare, food, and and even like education. So it conflicts with the option for the poor and vulnerable, which we will talk about later. And then just to add on, there are environmental risks with advertising, because of when things like when advertising does get a little out of hand, the more vulnerable are the first ones affected, and it can even deepen the vulnerability of these people. Okay.
So yeah, all these problems, they're directly in conflict with the theme of the option for the poor and vulnerable. We're supposed to like care for people that are poor and vulnerable, but instead advertising uh it really makes their situation worse. Um Ads ignore the reality. It makes them feel like they're missing out. It makes them feel like they're supposed to be successful. They're supposed to have all this stuff. Uh and it really just puts them in a bad spot. Um, and like it says, some even end up going into debt just to match these unrealistic standards set by advertising. That everybody should have a bunch of stuff, and the more stuff you have, the better you're gonna feel, and the better your life is gonna be. When that's really not the case. So something has to be fixed within the industry.
What CST kind of says about it is that like society should prioritize like the needs of the poor and the vulnerable. Like when the ads ignore or exclude the poor, they just like go against the CST like principles. It's not really about like buying, it's about like who gets left behind in that culture. And like if like with the ads, like are we like lifting people up or like leaving them out? And in the end, like every person kind of matters. The church um says like the ads aren't bad, but they need to be honest and respectful, telling the truth, respecting the human dignity, and like promoting the common good. And it's of the ads, it's like balancing like the profit versus the people.
So the Bible says that, or the Bible doesn't necessarily give a direct thing on advertising, obviously, because it wasn't around back then. But two verses that we found that indirectly relate to this is Proverbs 22, verse 4. It says, "True humility and fear of the Lord leads to riches, honor, and a long life." And this basically just like calls for reverence and humility as a path towards the Lord and like true riches instead of like manipulation through advertising. And then second verse was Timothy 6, verses 6 through 9. And it says, "But godliness without contentment is great gain, for we have brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that." And basically, it warns against greed and material wealth, like highlighting the dangers that it has if you take it too far. And a quote that I found from a Bible study that I really liked was it says that a baby is born not only penniless, but without even a pocket to put pennies in. And just as certainly we can carry nothing out, and the things that make a man rich in this world mean nothing in the world to come. And because of this, we need to be cautious in the ways that we like advertise, promote, and sell products. And then the Catholic social teachings resources that we found were Centesimus Annus by Pope John Paul II. And this is a quote from there that says, "A direct appeal is made to his instincts while ignoring in various ways the reality of the person as intelligent, free, and then consumer attitudes and lifestyles are created which are objectively improper and often damaging to physical and spiritual health." And I was just talking about like the unrealistic expectations that are set by the advertising industry and like the lifestyles they promote. Then the second one was a homily that Pope Francis gave for the Congolese. And this quote I think really sticks out to me because he says, "Consumerism is a virus that tarnishes faith at its root, because it makes you believe that life depends on what you have, and you forget or you forget God who approaches you and who's beside you. So because of our material possessions, we lose sight of God and like the holiness that He's given in our life to even be here. And yeah, that it just like makes us lose sight of what we're supposed to be here and what we're supposed to do."
Yeah, and thinking it all through with resources, advertisers should promote honest advertising. Advertisers should only promote advertisements that serve a real purpose. And a resource was from Timothy 6:10. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. These companies should not be advertised as they are the root of the main problem.
Okay, so for conclusion and takeaway, we have that modern advertising pushes consumerism and leaves the vulnerable behind, as we talked about in the overview slide and with the option for the poor and vulnerable. And staying on the topic of the Catholic social teachings, it clashes with the Catholic teachings, especially considering the principles of dignity, and the ideas of justice and inclusion. And finally, Pope Francis reminds us that real joy doesn't come from things. Um, and as a society, when we can realize that, I don't think advertising will have as much of an impact on the difference in the socioeconomic classes, and we can really shift as a society from what being worthy and successful really means. So, thank you.